Hi, I'm Max and welcome to Building More. In today's video, I'll show you exactly how I built this modern Redwood Burl coffee table. This coffee table really means a lot to me because my parents' table is built from the bookend cut of the same burl as this one, meaning that their table is a mirror image of mine. Overall, this was a pretty simple project to make, but I couldn't be more happy with the way it turned out and how much it means to me. I'll put a link to all the products and tools that I used in the description below. And lastly, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and gave this video a thumbs up. Let's get to the build. I started off by cleaning up all the edges of my slab with hand tools. Only one section had some dry rot, so I used a rasp to remove as much material as possible. After that, I used a stiff steel brush to remove any dust and debris still left on the sides of my burl. Then I used a more gentle steel brush to detail each area on the side of my burl and to remove any marks that were left behind by the stiffer steel brush. Once I'd cleaned up all the live edges on my slab, it was time to sand the tabletop. I began by making a thorough pass over the entire slab with 120 grit sandpaper on my orbital sander. After going over the entire tabletop with my orbital sander, I repeated this process with 150, 180, and finally 220 grit sandpaper. And after no less than 30 hours of sanding, I was ready to raise the grain on my tabletop. To do this, I used a wet rag to apply a thin layer of water to the surface of my slab, and then after waiting for about 15 minutes, I sanded the entire tabletop with 280 grit sandpaper to remove the rough grain that the water had raised. Before applying finish to any project, it's extremely important that you remove all the dust left over from the sanding process. To do this, I went over the face of my slab and along all the edges with my shop vac. Then I used a tack cloth to remove any of the leftover dust from the face and sides of my slab. And just like that, it was time to apply finish to the face of my slab. I used Watco Danish oil in the shade Natural, which I'll link in the description below. I picked this finish because it has a light pigment that does a really good job of highlighting the slab's intricate grain details and really brings out those nice red tones in the wood. And in case you're curious, I applied 3 coats of oil to the tabletop, waiting 30 minutes in between each coat. Next, I used a spray bottle to apply an even coat of Danish oil to all the edges of my tabletop, being careful to wipe away any excess oil that had gathered with my favorite tie-dye t-shirt rag. I decided to use these 16-inch industrial steel coffee table legs from tablelegs.com. Figuring out the placement of each leg was a little bit tricky, but I began by finding an approximate center line on my slab. Using this line as my point of reference, I measured an equal distance from the center and marked out where each leg would be fastened to the bottom of my slab. And with that, it was finally time to attach the legs and make this piece of wood into a coffee table. To do this, I used 1.5 inch panhead screws to fasten each leg to the tabletop. Just like that, I have a brand new Redwood Burl coffee table. Slabs of burl this size can be pretty hard to come by, so I consider myself very lucky to have been able to work with one, and especially one that means so much to me personally. That being said, you don't have to use a burl slab to make a coffee table like this one. There are tons of other materials and techniques, such as joining smaller boards of wood together, pouring a concrete slab, using pre-cut stone, or even glass that'll leave you with a beautiful coffee table. The possibilities there are really endless, and if you want to see me use some of those techniques and materials in future videos, let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe for plenty more videos to come. Thanks.